10 years after that amendment, I think we made about a 20% headway, not more than that. So the donors also have to realize that the political process has to be cleaned up. It then gets linked to the discretion, we have to eliminate them. Because discretions can't be traded on a case-to-case basis. And then you need mechanisms. Conceptually on paper, we created good mechanisms. But the good mechanisms we created had a legitimate problem. You like these mechanisms till you come to power. And therefore, when you are in power, you would like to subvert the CBI. You would like to make sure that the CAG is painted as a terrible institution. That the Public Accounts Committee, it's over a 100-year-old committee in a parliamentary democracy, which is intended to see that every revenue of the state is adequately and properly spent and accounted for. It's a parliamentary control over state expenditure. You can jeopardize its functioning and not allow it to function. And I think the courts at times do step in, but then the courts also have their limitations. That they can't take over governance, they can only have judicial review. I therefore feel that there is a huge merit in re-strengthening these institutions. The CAG has conventionally functioned well, the PSC has conventionally functioned well, the CBI is functioning in a terrible manner. I have no faith left in that institution. Let alone government, it's become an organ of the ruling party. And therefore you have to make sure how we re-establish the credentials of a premier investigative agency. And there's a huge substance in this demand for a Lokpal, or a Lokayukt in the states and the Lokpal in the sector. Now there are fears, how can you share power with an extra constitutional authority? Well, we'll make it an authority under law. The Lokpal has to be a strong institution, an independent institution. Therefore, the appointment of the Lokpal must be an independent mechanism, the removal must be an independent mechanism, the investigative agency under it must be fair and independent. And you must have a mechanism of investigation which puts the fear in the mind of those who are tainted and therefore acts as a deterrent. A law doesn't remove corruption. But an effective institution, an effective law, an effective agency implementing it can actually put the fear of consequences and act as a deterrent that how do you behave. Today people are talking in terms of at times media making great exposures, private citizens groups coming up and taking the powerful state on. The reason why this is happening is that the mechanisms within the state are not doing their duty. And therefore, unconventional methods have been born. Because beyond a point, the popular voice itself cannot be suppressed. Well, there is very little time left. But in a few minutes, I'll just tell you on your last subjects, which I am accused of not having touched it. The legal reforms. I just make 4 or 5 broad points of it. What is your principal problem? Your principal problem in India is that you have a very large case population. Indians are amongst the most litigious people in the world. And one of our ingredients is that one of the reasons why litigation in India increases, that in a case, a truth can only be one. There can't be 2 versions of a truth. We don't hesitate in compromising with truth when we go before the courts. Because courts are overburdened, they can't send you to jail for perjury. Elsewhere in the world, they don't spare you. Jeffrey Archer had to spend a couple of years in jail because of allegations of perjury. He made an incorrect statement to a court. The The allegation against Bill Clinton was not that he had a relationship with a lady. The bigger allegation was when you were asked, you lied. And people who tell lies are never accepted. Here you have people being caught on camera and then appearing within minutes and saying sorry. So these are permanent cliches. The law will take its own course. I will be vindicated. And then you use the delay in this whole procedure and try and get out of it. Therefore, the answer is India needs more judges. I think we have to increase our investment on that. When I was in government, I started this experiment for high crime cases of fast track courts, created additional 5 fast track courts in every district of the country. Central government funded it. The delays came down. You have to cut short our procedures. Our procedures are intended to follow the rule of natural justice are now becoming unnatural. Substantive laws. If somebody's check bounces, the case can't go on for 3 years. Elsewhere in the world, it goes on for a few days. Because facts speak for themselves. There are substantive laws which need to be changed. The quality of people that we induct into the judicial system has to improve. The best are not becoming judges. Appointment of judges, particularly to the higher judiciary and their accountability, is an extremely slow mechanism. It's a mechanism in India by virtue of a constitutional interpretation, judges appoint judges. It's better than the earlier system, but it's not an ideal system. And therefore you need a National Judicial Commission, which may have a primacy of judges, which needs the participation of the executive, which needs through a collegium at least 1 or 2 eminent citizens, who not only appoint but also keep a vigil on them. Impeachment is a near impossible procedure. Nobody in India has ever been impeached. The Rajya Sabha is the only house in India which last year passed a resolution of impeachment. And then the judge resigned before it went to the other house. And therefore, in order to make sure, I've always believed that a judge discharges a divine function. Disputes between ordinary human mortals are normally resolved by the divine. But here a human being is authorized. Therefore his scholarship, his fairness, his integrity, his impartiality must be the highest, must be beyond suspicion. So if your system converges into a situation where questions are raised even there, then the system can't survive. And therefore a greater vigil on those who judge others will also have to be brought in as a part of the judicial reforms itself. I don't think you can see holistic overall reforms overnight. It's a process. But at the end of all this, I can only tell you one thing. I am still not pessimistic. Like most of you, I also feel angry and frustrated when I see quality of governance, daily allegations of misuse of power, corruption, ugly conduct. But I am not the least unhappy when these people are exposed. There is still a lot of poison in the system, and to make it a fair system, that poison has to be expunged. And whoever participates in the expunction of that poison, I think is doing his little bit for the society. But the great strength of this country is that this country has a great sense of resilience. We have many problems. We have many threats. No country in the world has seen so many natural disasters, so many wars. We have many problems. But our strength is our people who have a great sense of resilience. And after a crisis, the next day we walk with our heads on. And therefore, in order to make this country strong, fair, and an acceptable place, which is a developing society, which can then do economic and social justice to every section of our society. And thank you very much.